Welcome back and thank you for staying with us here at Hot 7 TV. The St. Lucia Teachers Union is reacting to news of the decision coming out of this week's NEMAC meeting to physically close all schools on island for 10 days. Its president, Don Howell, says that when the new statutory instrument takes effect, it hopes that the Ministry of Education operates accordingly.
While the Ministry of Health reports that only 11% of people infected by COVID-19 are of school age, there was a decision to physically close institutions for a 10-day period. Since the reopening of schools on January 11th, the St. Lucia Teachers Union has been adamant that it may not have been the best time to return students to the classroom and calls for a delay in its reopening. President Don Howell says that while the Chief Education Officer stated that the education sector should join the national effort to curb the spread of the virus, teachers have always gone above and beyond to be part of the solution.
Teachers have been leading the way in terms of giving their all for the education system, in terms of giving their all for students. When they were online, the use of their own resources to ensure that the education system continues. The teachers are now giving of themselves, their lives, to ensure that making great sacrifices on a daily basis to ensure that students receive a proper education. So on the end of educators, they have always been on board in terms of saving the education system and to support any national effort.
Howell says that while he is in no position to say whether the 10-day period is sufficient, his focus will remain on the health and safety of all stakeholders in the education sector.
If school had been delayed just for a little while longer, that all of the issues that had surfaced in schools could have been averted. It's unfortunate that it had to take all of that for some recourse to have been taken in that regard.
While most students will receive instructions via multimedia platforms, special exceptions have been made for students who are preparing for major exams. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Obesity is a high-risk factor for developing all kinds of illnesses, from diabetes to heart failure, strokes to certain types of cancer. It is now known that the obese are twice as likely to be hospitalized if they contract COVID-19 as opposed to those of a healthy weight. With schools back on lockdown and children staying at home, Hot 7 asked a fitness instructor about the importance of staying healthy whilst at home to help stay COVID-free.
The COVID-19 pandemic has thrust the obesity epidemic into the spotlight, revealing that obesity is no longer a disease that harms just in the long run, but one that can have acutely devastating effects. New studies and information confirms doctors' suspicions that the virus takes advantage of the disease. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention reports that 73% of nurses who have been hospitalized from COVID-19 had obesity. With children stuck at home again as a means to help curb the spread of the virus locally, a fitness instructor has some advice for parents. Andrew Felix says that parents should be taking advantage of the food that their children eat.
Stop loading up your kids with toxins and the fried food, the greasy food, the oily food. So give them smaller portions, make sure they're drinking more water. And we all know that there's a lot of parents out there that may not have the finances to do that. So let's address that as well. And we know that there's a lot of parents out there that are sending their kids to school, and the kids, that might be the best meal they get for the day, and the kids play up at school. Sometimes they're playing up because they haven't eaten. Teachers have to also get educated as well. So even right now, teachers have to get that education in and understand that children are playing up because they may not eaten properly.
Felix says that despite children not being able to socialize much, they can sneak time in to get some much needed exercise.
Make sure you're running around with them, make sure you're giving them that exercise that they need. Because the escalation in obesity is one of the leading causes of diabetes and other non-communicable diseases. So we don't want our children to be obese, we don't want our family to be obese, and obesity is something that you need to address even more than COVID. Now remember, this year, the country wasn't locked down for diabetes, hypertension, cancer, or obesity. Yeah? So we have to look at ourselves and take COVID seriously and stop taking it casually. So spend time with your family, and educate them at home, sanitize, follow protocols, and make sure you're eating smaller portions and stop putting your body through the toxic, crisis of COVID.
A recent study found that obesity could interfere with the effectiveness of a COVID-19 vaccine. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Rise St. Lucia Safe Spaces will be under new leadership soon. The announcement was made on Friday morning. The co-directors of the organization have decided that local philanthropist Dr. Venus Cherry is worthy of being at the helm of the organization that has been striving to change St. Lucia. Dr. Stephen King, one of the original co-founders, spoke to Hot 7 on the rationale behind the decision.
Dr. King and Dr. Bird have seen it fitting to hand Rise St. Lucia over to me and my team. So we put together a list of wonderful people, directors, including Ms. Mindy Chico. So they will be passing the baton, so to speak, to us to continue to carry the operations of Rise St. Lucia. As you guys know, I only partnered with Rise St. Lucia in my initiative, so now I'll become one of the directors of Rise St. Lucia.
In February, a ceremony will be held to officially announce local philanthropist Dr. Venus Cherry as the director of Rise St. Lucia. On Friday, co-founder of Rise, Dr. Stephen King, explains the rationale behind the move.
You see, in life, you have to pass the baton on to the youth, because otherwise great initiatives die as you yourself exit this mortal place, this earthly place. So, we all must move on, because that's life. That's the nature of life. So what we intend to do is pass the baton on, because life is a relay as well. We pass the baton on to those that are coming. Venus is coming, so is Mindy, and all those new directors. We will be with them still, because we're not dead yet. And we have ideas, and we will be there to support them. We will help them. We will be part of Rise. We will be members of Rise. We will work with Rise, just like we've been working. But by passing on the leadership, we bring new energy, new vision. We create an opportunity for Rise to grow even bigger.
Dr. Cherry explained that he is ecstatic to tackle this new mission.
Almost a year later, look at us. They started as just wanting to help out, and now it's bigger than I ever thought it would be. It has grown. I feel very privileged to be able to have Dr. King and Dr. Bird say, hey, this is the young man we think can carry on this mantle. So it's like, if you want to equate this, it's like carrying the Olympic torch, to go put up wherever, it's been things. So for me, it's a privilege. It's an honor. It's a task I take very seriously. I know it's not going to be easy, but I think, with health and strength, I'll be ready.
He says, despite not living in St. Lucia permanently, this is a journey that he is ready for. He said all the efforts that he has been making to change lives in St. Lucia has only prepared him for this. My
initiative did not start with just education. My initiative started with just help, period. And that's what Rise does. It's not about devices, it's not about food, it's about a combination of it all. So when we get a call, we're not saying, oh, you're not calling about devices, we can't help you. We try to understand what the situation is, what the problem is, and we try our best to help out in one way or the other. So I am ready. I've been ready. This is, like I keep telling people, this is not anything new to me. From the time I graduated my master's and started working in 2006, I've been doing this. Someone only needs to go back to Facebook and see that this has been done by me and my team being at this. So it's bigger now because it's education and it's in the time of a pandemic and it's reported on the news, but it's been something. This is my life mission at this point.
Dr. King indicated that the mission of Rise St. Lucia and that of Dr. Cherry aligned perfectly, and that is what made him the perfect fit for this post. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Health officials in Martinique have suspected that a resident may have contracted a variant of the COVID-19 virus and have launched an investigation into the case. According to reports from Martinique One Air, the man is believed to have traveled during the holiday season and was showing symptoms of COVID-19 upon his return. When health officials administered the RT-PCR test, it was positive, and the test showed a mutation of the S protein of the virus. Sequencing is underway at the National Reference Center for Viruses and Respiratory Infections in Lyon, France, for confirmation. Health officials in the French Isle have begun conducting contact tracing and have so far isolated 8 individuals. Just yesterday, Thursday, January 21st, the Ministry of Health in Trinidad and Tobago confirmed that the country recorded its first confirmed case of the COVID-19 variant of concern, UK variant B.1.1.7. The patient is a returned national who traveled from the United Kingdom. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, we have more news after this break.